Nukleare Massenvernichtungswaffen, wie alle Massenvernichtungswaffen, sind aber nicht das Ergebnis eines Schicksalsschlages der Natur, sie sind von Menschen gemacht. Das ist der Grund, warum die Weltgemeinschaft mit so großer Sorge auf den heutigen Iran blickt, denn die Möglichkeit eines nuklearen Rüstungswettlaufs in der spannungsreichsten Region der Welt ist ein schrecklicher Albtraum, der uns alle in die Katastrophe reißen kann. Meine Damen und Herren, die beste Chance, diese Gefahr ein für alle Mal zu bannen, liegt in der demokratischen Veränderung des Iran. Auch deshalb ist die Demokratiebewegung im Iran und außerhalb des Irans so wichtig für uns. Diese Demokratiebewegung ist unsere größte Hoffnung auf Frieden und Sicherheit in diesem Teil der Welt. Eine solche Transformation ist möglich, denn sie entspricht dem Sehnen der Menschen. Was wir also tun sollen in der Europäischen Union, in allen unseren Mitgliedsländern, in allen Organisationen, ist eine klare und sichtbare Wahl zu treffen. Und das heißt, uns auf die richtige Seite zu stellen und dafür auch unbeirrt gerade zu stehen.
Thank you very much, Madam President, my distinguished colleagues, and all of you here. A wonderful participation, a great group of patriots, and we salute you and wish you a happy New Year and a free Iran. You know, Winston Churchill once said that the Americans could be counted upon to do the right thing in the end after they had exhausted every other reasonable opportunity. In many ways, we come here, my colleagues and I from America, to tell you what you've been told and what you've heard. The MEK needs to be delisted immediately. The heroes in Camp Ashraf, must be protected. They must be protected by the United Nations. They must be protected by the United States as promised. That has to happen. And third, the voices and sacrifices and patriots and freedom fighters in Iran, many of whom are in this room with us this evening, have to be protected and supported by the United States of America. You know, we saw that wonderful clip of President Kennedy, and it reminds us of a lot of things, but it also brings the point as you look upon the colleagues here just with me from the United States. You know, this is a nonpartisan, non-political statement for freedom and for action. And to quote another great president who was in this city, the city, as one of my colleagues says, which symbolizes freedom, he stood here and he said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. And we say tonight, Madam Secretary, with all due respect, and we honor and respect you, take the MEK off that list. And I'd like to say something else. I can't speak for my colleagues on this point, but I know when I was first asked to look at the situation with respect to MEK, when I was first asked to speak and raise my voice on behalf of not just President Rajavi, but all of the other heroes who have worked on this, I did what many years of training has taught me to do. I went back and I talked to my former colleagues, and I asked them a simple question. Is there any reason why I shouldn't be speaking out on behalf of MEK? and I got no reason at all. You would not see the incredible array of respected, dedicated, and celebrated American leaders and heroes, some of whom are my best friends here today, speaking as we have been speaking, if there was some secret, classified, magic bullet that legally or factually justified it, keeping this freedom-fighting organization on the list. There is none. There's none that we know of. So let me talk for a few minutes about the history, about the law, and about the facts. You know, one of the things that lawyers do in preparing for going to court or talking to clients is they seek to see who is opposed to the position they're advocating. They also like to practice by seeing if they can come up with arguments. What are the best arguments that my opponents can make against my position? Well, with respect to delisting the MEK, let's just take that for starters. There is nobody fighting to keep this organization on the foreign terrorist list except our Secretary of State through her department and the Islamic Republic of Iran. That should tell you something with respect to where the equities and where the import is. And, by the way, I can't think of any argument, and I don't think my colleagues could either, known to us where the facts or the law would justify maintaining this situation. And as Chairman Pace said, you know, we ought to have an open debate. We all know about classified information. Most of us sitting up here, by the way, have top secret security clearances. The court in Washington looked at this very carefully. There does not seem to be any compelling, credible evidence that comes from a source that's reliable that justifies keeping this organization on this list. So we are very proud of our Secretary of State. We're very delighted, by the way, that she took time to meet with the Libyan resistance movement just a few days ago. We would like her to delist this organization and meet with Madam Rajavi in the United States of America. And when you come, madam, I will be honored to give you a tour of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You know, the history... Let me talk for just a few moments about the listing process. First of all, the listing process is flawed and dysfunctional, and it ought to be completely revisited and revised by the United States Congress. It has no consistency. What happened in 1997, I was in Washington then. Most of my colleagues were there with me. The United States, for very good reasons, decided it was worthwhile to extend an olive branch to the Republic of Iran to see if some negotiation and rapprochement would work instead of the tension and the violence that this regime, by the way, has spawned all over the world, whether it was in the Marine barracks in Lebanon, whether it was in the Jewish Cultural Center in Argentina. The United States had a good motive in trying to talk to this regime. So it acceded to their demand to put MEK on the Foreign Terrorist Organization list. It was very interesting because when it came over to the FBI, we have responsibility in those areas, as you know. We were quite surprised by the designation. And when I reviewed the facts, it was not a coincidence that I never assigned anybody to be in charge of monitoring this organization for purposes of foreign terrorism. The only organization, by the way, that was ever on that list that was never seriously considered an organization responsible for anything except the freedom fighting and the rule of law, which you've heard Madam President talk about. So the U.S. had a very bad bargain with Iran in 1997. Later on, as Judge McCasey mentioned, another overture was made by the Republic. They said that we will make sure, or we will limit the damage to your soldiers in Iraq by the IEDs